Does I just took a DNA test, turns out I'm 100% that bitch rise to that level of creativity? Who knows? Then I read that Lizzo actually applied for trademark rights for the words 100% that bitch. And I confirmed it, and I'll show you how you can too. Okay, but then there's a whole separate lawsuit, the Postmates lawsuit. My name's Lee, I'm a real-life lawyer, and I'm on a mission to demystify the law and how it affects your everyday life. Today, we're going to talk about Lizzo. She was sued over writing credits for her hit song, Truth Hurts, and the case was dismissed in August. Last week, however, the parties that brought the counterclaim have indicated that they are going to continue with the lawsuit, so the battle over the lyrics to Truth Hurts continues. However, this is not the only court battle that Lizzo has faced since becoming famous, so I'm going to dissect the many lawsuits of Lizzo for you today. Look, I'm not doing this because I delight in the misfortune of celebrities. I think that lawsuits are a pain in the butt. I would know. And you don't really want to be working with a lawyer, because if you're working with a lawyer, that probably means that you're in a bad position and you're having a bad day. I get that. Look, I get it. However, I also am a big sucker for celebrity gossip, and I find these lawsuits really interesting because they touch on interesting areas of law, like privacy and copyrights and trademarks and all that kind of stuff, and I'm interested. So I kind of want to turn this into a series where I look at the lawsuits from a lot of different celebrities, because once you get famous, the more people want a piece of you. And so there's a lot of celebrities with a lot of lawsuits. Comment below if you have any ideas of celebrities that you want me to dissect, or if you would even find this interesting at all, because it's something that I find fascinating. Before we get started, let me offer the following disclaimer, and that is that I'm a lawyer, but I'm not your lawyer. Nothing that I say should be construed as legal advice, and you should always seek the advice of a licensed attorney if you have any legal questions. If you find this video informational or entertaining, please give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button if you want to hear more from me. Alright, who is Lizzo? Let's get into it. Her real name is Melissa Jefferson. She was born in Detroit, Michigan on April 27, 1988. She's a beautiful angel Taurus Earth baby, which probably means that she's stubborn but has very good taste. So she was born in Detroit but then moved to Houston when she was 10. She went on to study classical music, specializing in the flute at the University of Houston, and then she moved to my hometown of Minneapolis in 2011. Here she formed a group called The Chalice and also performed in a group called Girl Party, spelled like this, which is how I first heard of her. No big deal, but I did see her at a sold-out show at First Avenue back in 2015. I was in like the third row, so yeah, you could say that I was into her before she got famous. During her time in Minneapolis, she was also featured on Prince's Third Eye Girl album, huge. And then her real rise to stardom began in 2016 when she was signed to Atlantic Records. That same year is when her song Good as Hell came out. Feeling good as hell. Then in 2019, she released the song Juice, which was a pretty big hit. And then Cause I Love You dropped that same year, and that's kind of that on that. Like that's what made her into the Lizzo we know today. And that's also when the lawsuits began. So the first incident is not a lawsuit. I saw a lot of places on the internet saying that it was, but this never amounted to a full lawsuit, and I'll explain why in a minute. But there was an original controversy over the DNA test line from her song Truth Hurts. That song actually came out in 2017, but it didn't hit it big until 2019. So basically this British singer-songwriter named Mina Lioness, or it might be Mina Lioness, I apologize, I don't know. She's a British singer-songwriter. She's up late in the middle of the night. She sees Demi Lovato tweet, "I just took a DNA test. Turns out I'm such and such percent Native American and 1% African." You know, the classic like white girl thing that people love to do. Mina tweeted, "I just took a DNA test. Turns out I'm 100% that bitch." Funny, hilarious. It went viral. And then that meme went on to inspire Lizzo's use of the line in her song Truth Hurts. Obviously, Mina heard it, her friends heard it, and they started calling Lizzo out for using that line. Lizzo didn't know who it was from, she just saw the meme, and then she responded once to one of Mina's tweets being like, "I just saw it on a meme, but I'm glad it exists." I mean, people kept pushing her on it because that's quite a line to take from someone. However, it never actually formed into a lawsuit, and here's why. First of all, in order to bring a lawsuit, you need the money to hire a lawyer. Most people don't have the amount of money that it takes to bring a copyright infringement lawsuit, frankly. Second, you need to actually have copyrights to the thing that you are claiming someone stole from you. Are tweets copyrightable? It depends. I'm not going to get into the deep specifics of copyright law here, though I do want to make a whole separate video on it, but I will just say facts and ideas cannot be copyrighted. Most tweets, if you really break them down, are just facts or ideas. And if you tweet the same idea just in a different way, Probably still an idea, probably can't be copyrighted. Also, short words and phrases usually can't be copyrighted. This obviously still depends on a lot of factors, but the main factor is the level of creativity of the word or phrase. For example, a haiku, a line from a poem, those things that we think of as quintessentially creative and expressive and original in a short phrase could be copyrighted. However, the level of originality needs to be really high. Does "I just took a DNA test, turns out I'm 100% that bitch" rise to that level of creativity? Who knows? That would be up for a judge to determine, and because it never went to court, we never got that determination. However, again, like I said, taking this battle to court against Lizzo, who has a ton of resources, would be very difficult. The number of experts you'd have to hire to kind of determine whether or not that this is copyrightable, it would be expensive. And it could very well be all for naught because it's very questionable whether a tweet is copyrightable. So this controversy happened in 2017 after it came out, and then it just started getting more and more famous. And it wasn't until October of 2019 that Lizzo finally acknowledged that Mina is the originator of that line and actually gave her writing credits on Truth Hurts. So hopefully Mina is making some kind of money now that she's been actually listed on the credits in the song. Who knows? Okay, but then there's a whole separate lawsuit, the Postmates lawsuit. Okay, so Lizzo, she's in Boston. I lived there a few years. She's at the Revere Hotel, a nice hotel. She makes an order on Postmates, the food ordering app. She wants a lobster roll. Who doesn't? You're in Boston. It's now or never. She orders it under the name Bonnie V, which is her kind of fun pseudonym that she uses. Because obviously you can't be ordering Postmates under the name Lizzo. People are gonna freak out. Allegedly, according to the delivery driver, she shows up to the hotel. She tries to call the number that was given to her. No one answers. She's at the front desk. She tells them, "I have a delivery for Bonnie V." The front desk is like, "We don't know anyone by that name here." She can't get a hold of the person who ordered. She waits around for about 10 minutes. She leaves. On Lizzo's end, she allegedly did not receive any of these calls. She didn't know. She didn't hear. All she saw was the delivery driver drive away with her food. So Lizzo decides to put Postmates and this delivery driver on blast. She takes a screenshot, puts it on her Twitter, and says, "Hey Postmates, this driver Tiffany just stole my food. She's lucky I don't fight anymore." And then of course, because celebrities have crazy fan bases, why are you guys so mean to people on the internet? There's a lot of people who follow celebrities who are willing to fight people if a celebrity puts them on blast. So that's what happened here. A number of Lizzo fans started sending threats to this Tiffany person. She ended up having to leave her job at Postmates. She was afraid to go to work. And then she ended up suing Lizzo for libel, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and invasion of privacy. She filed that lawsuit on November 15th, 2019. So libel is the first thing that she sued Lizzo under, and libel is a defamatory statement that's made with reckless disregard for the truth. It's published to people, and it hurts the subject's reputation. So Tiffany's claiming that Lizzo posted something recklessly on her Twitter without caring about whether or not it was true, and that it hurt Tiffany's reputation. Intentional infliction of emotional distress is when someone does something recklessly that's so outrageous that it causes severe emotional distress to the other person. And then as far as the invasion of privacy claim, there's a number of different types of invasion of privacy claims. I'm assuming she probably sued her under the false light claim, which is very similar to libel. It just means that you have put this person's reputation in a false light and made them look bad, basically. I could not get my hands on the court filings because they're behind a paywall, and YouTube does not pay your girl enough to go ahead and get past that paywall at this point, but maybe one day. But I did see the docket, and the docket is just the list of proceedings before the court and documents that were filed with the court pertaining to this specific case. And the docket said that the case was moved to a private mediator back in April. Private mediator is someone who is outside of the court system, who helps the parties mediate and come to a settlement. It removes the whole process from the court system. It's usually a lot faster, and it moves the parties towards settlement. So I assume that they have settled or are working on settling, and those are private exchanges that are not part of the court system. So there are no documents for me to get my hands on for that. I assume they settled, however. Okay, so that brings us to the case that is currently pending for Lizzo, and this is a kind of continuation of the saga of the Truth Hurts plagiarism claims. So there are these two brothers, Justin and Jeremiah Raisin. I think that's how you pronounce their last name, Raisin. I don't know. I'm gonna call them the Raisins because that's funny. And then there's also a guy named Justin Yves Rothman. We'll call him Rothman. They claim to have all worked together on a demo with Lizzo of a song called Healthy, wherein they came up with that DNA test line as well as the beats that are now being used in Truth Hurts. This all happened in April 2017. In June 2017, Lizzo writes the song Truth Hurts. However, allegedly only the producer Ricky Reed was present when she wrote that song and not the Raisins and Rothman. Then this Truth Hurts song is released later in 2017, and the Raisins and Rothman start making claims that they were writers of the song, even though they are not credited with writing it at all when the song is released. Then I read that Lizzo actually applied for trademark rights for the words 100% that bitch. And I confirmed it, and I'll show you how you can too. You have to go to uspto.gov, and then on the right-hand side, you go to trademarks and you click on tests. Then you click on basic word search and you type in 100% that bitch. What comes up are 4 results for trademarks for use of the words 100% that bitch on clothing and in music. Is this even Lizzo's intellectual property for her to protect? That's a whole nother question. But she did it. They allowed it, and she now owns the trademark to 100% that bitch. Anyway, I digress. So the Raisins and Rothman, they're making all these claims that they helped write Truth Hurts and that they deserve writing credits. And Lizzo says that they didn't. So what ends up happening is that Lizzo actually files a lawsuit first, and she files a lawsuit seeking a declaratory judgment from the judge. I've explained declaratory judgments in past videos, but just to refresh your memory, it's basically a preemptive move that someone makes to get a judge to declare something, a conclusion of law of some sort, in order to avoid a future lawsuit. So here, Lizzo's going to the judge and asking the judge to declare that the Raisins and Rothman have no claim to anything with Truth Hurts. So then, after she files this claim, the Raisins and Rothman bring a counterclaim against her, claiming that they did own copyrights to Truth Hurts because it's a derivative work of their song Healthy that they wrote with Lizzo a couple months before she wrote Truth Hurts. So then after they filed this counterclaim, Lizzo's team came back and said their claim's not viable, and they asked the judge to dismiss that counterclaim. And in August, so a couple weeks ago, the judge agreed with Lizzo's team. The judge granted Lizzo's motion to dismiss this counterclaim that Raisins and Rothman brought, claiming rights to the song Truth Hurts, and the judge said that a joint author of a copyrightable work does not automatically own the copyrights in a derivative work created out of that original work. So what that means is, yes, maybe the Raisins and Rothman and Lizzo are all joint copyright owners because they were joint writers of the song Healthy. However, Truth Hurts is a derivative work that Lizzo, one of the co-authors, created herself, separate from the Raisins and Rothman, and therefore she owns that copyright and they don't automatically own any copyrights in that derivative work. And it sounds like the Raisins and Rothman kind of put the nail in their own coffin on this because they said that Healthy was its own standalone work and Truth Hurts was a derivative work of it, instead of saying that Healthy was just a demo to Truth Hurts and that they're the same song. So basically the judge sided with Lizzo and said, you don't have a claim. However, the judge gave them leave to amend, which basically says your counterclaim does not have merit now, and so I'm dismissing it. However, you can rewrite it so that it's better, maybe, and I'll consider it again. So the Raisins and Rothman had until September 4th, which is today, the day I'm filming this, to either submit their amended counterclaim against Lizzo or indicate that they didn't plan to continue. And yesterday, they submitted their amended counterclaim. Again, it's behind a paywall. I can't get at it. If anyone can get their hands on it, send it to me. I'd love to read it. However, I'm assuming it's similar claims that they made in the first counterclaim, but maybe with more evidence or bolstering what they were originally saying, or maybe tweaking their arguments a little bit. So this is why these cases can get so drawn out, because there's so much back and forth between the parties. So now that they filed this amended counterclaim, now Lizzo's team has to come back and they have 21 days to write a reply to this counterclaim. So that reply is due around the 24th or 25th of September, so in a couple weeks. I assume what they're gonna do is file another motion to dismiss saying this amended counterclaim is still without merit and should be dismissed. And then the judge will have to rule on that. So that's the big update in the Lizzo lawsuit and the current state of her legal affairs. It kind of goes to show how hard it is to know, especially when it comes to songwriting, who actually owns the rights in songs, because people are so collaborative, especially now with coronavirus, but also just with how global our world is. You have writers who are working all over the world and contributing bits and bobs to different songs, it's really hard unless you write a contract at the beginning of the process stating who has rights and what. It's hard to keep track of everything. Also, if you've ever met a musician before, they're not the type usually that's going to come and say, here's a contract, here's all the rights, I need you to agree to this and this and this, and let's sign it. Also, usually musicians are friends, they're working back and forth, they're trying to have a collaborative experience. The law kind of squashes that creative spirit. But it is something worth thinking about when you look at a lot of these celebrity lawsuits. This all could have been avoided if they had signed something before they started writing. And look, I don't wish any ill will on Lizzo. These things are complicated. I love her. I wish her the best. But this has been an examination of the many lawsuits of Lizzo. I hope that you found this helpful or entertaining. If you did, please consider giving it a thumbs up below and clicking the subscribe button if you'd like to hear more from me. Let me know in the comments below if there are any celebrity lawsuits that you want me to dissect or any other questions you have about the law that I could turn into future videos. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Goodbye. Black